Real talk, you guys, tonight was one of the most unluckiest nights of football I've seen at Stamford Bridge. I have not seen fortune misfavour us for a while, especially in a game of these circumstances. Of course, the third loss to Man United this season in the same exact circumstances. It's the same story, but with a better team creating more opportunities, controlling the game, and then mistakes and errors and, just craziness happening to stop us getting the 3 points. Now, in today's match review, I'm here to talk about the details and the context as to why we didn't get the result today and what it means for our upcoming games this month. Obviously, if you only care about the result, then of course it's a shame. As fans, we're all disappointed. But in moments like this, it's always a good opportunity to try and figure out and really understand, why these things happen so we can learn from it and look for areas of improvement in the future. But today, you guys, before I get into anything, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. Download it right now so you can vote for your man of the match, or most importantly, you can check out the match stats and figures. Now, I'm definitely going to check the stats out later because today's game was crazy. We absolutely dominated proceedings with the ball, tackles, chances on goal. I just want to see just how clear our domination was. And if you guys want to see it for yourself, you'll find it below in the description below. Now, I think the perfect way to start this review is to talk about the lineup. Now, of course, when we all saw the lineup, I'm sure we all freaked out. We saw no Hudson-Odoi. We saw an attack that looked quite weak because Tammy Abraham wasn't playing as well. So that meant that Pedro and Michy Batshuayi had opportunities tonight to show Lampard that they can still produce things for the team. And of course, I'll have to speak about these two in particular because, you know what? Another opportunity that Lampard's given them, because Lampard has been very fair with players this season. He's given players opportunities to show what they're about, and some players just can't ever improve. That happens sometimes, and when that happens, normally that's when you realise it's a time for these guys to move on. So this summer, there's going to be a big revamp of the squads. You can imagine a lot of players going, a lot of players Lampard doesn't like. And when that happens, when we can bring in the reinforcements to replace them, the reinforcements that are going to suit how we play, when games like this happen, when we have to rely on backup team players, at least they're going to suit the football. At least we're not going to have players who aren't good enough to be playing for us starting in the team and maybe getting out of the way first. And, it's a bit harsh because I don't like to really, fully blame players and be too critical. But you know what? Tonight, I saw some great individual performances. I mean, my God. Kovacic tonight, absolutely supreme. Did you see his close control, the way he was holding the ball up, playing between the lines, skipping past people for fun, his defensive work rate as well. I mean, that incident at the end when Daniel James had an opportunity on the counter-attack, Kovacic was there to sweep up. It's the big performance I've been waiting to see from a long time. He stepped up big tonight. And of course, I think we can't forget about positives like that. Shout out to Jorginho as well. Bruno Fernandes tonight was looking like Ozil to me. He didn't get close to Jorginho once, couldn't get tight, couldn't win the ball off him, couldn't press. And you guys, as I've been saying before, there's a reason why these teams these days don't like to press high against us, because of our defense with Cover and Jorginho. We're playing through your press, we're beating it time and time again. And against United, this was how we were able to create our best opportunities throughout the game. And please, let's remember some of the positives, because some of the football today, some of the sweeping attacks, there were a few of them. Let's not pretend there were none. A lot of opportunities, great pieces of play as well. What stopped us getting those goals though? Unfortunately, you'd have to say Michy Batshuayi. Because tonight, you guys, there were some great performances from the boys. Let's not see their efforts go in vain for nothing. We saw the effort they put in. We saw them running and busting a gut. These guys care. Let's not forget that. And unfortunately, sometimes when the team's not fully ready to mount a massive challenge like competing for every single trophy, unfortunately, when you have to rely on a Michy Batshuayi who, in this point in time, might not be in the best place mentally, and, he's doing his best, but he's just not there just now. We can't forget that. We're fans. This is why we support the team. We want to see performances like this. And come on, when we saw the initial lineup, bare minimum we wanted was a good team performance. And today we got that. And unfortunately, the details that mattered, which was finishing, unfortunately fell to Mitch, who just wasn't there tonight. Now, of course, there could be arguments that Giroud should have started from the game. I'm not too sure because, those counter-attacks that Mitchy was on, those sweeping counter-attacks when Mitchy was deep, carrying the ball and, looking quite decent in those moments, that's not Giroud's game. And that's why Lampard couldn't start him for those tactical reasons. He was going to be a sub. His cameo was really good. We can't forget that. But I feel like we have to be a bit more sympathetic at times, boys. I think we got to be a bit more fair with the team. Because if Mitchie scores those goals, the dominance, the pieces of play, the great assists, especially from Mason Mount today, who's putting in excellent assists today and is very unlucky that he didn't get one or didn't even get a goal. His cameo when he came on was very exciting. And I'm telling you why Mason looked so good. That's because he was playing deeper in midfield. As I've been saying for a long time, the reason why we don't like Mason at times is because of the tactical role in which Lampard is using him. He's using him up front alongside Tammy because Lampard wants us to play high aggressive, high intense, high pressing, quick transition football. That's what it's about. So in that sense, having a support striker, shadow striker makes sense in tactics like that. But of course, Mason showed tonight that he's got the ability. He was the only proper threat on goal that we had tonight. And without him, we wouldn't have created any of those opportunities where VAR ruled us out. And we wouldn't have created some of the best chances on goal either. Now, of course, I want to talk about my argument for why we were very unlucky tonight. I can just go on. From the start, no Hudson-Odoi because he has a hamstring injury before the game. In the first half, losing 2 players, losing N'Golo Kante, very unfortunate. My subjective personal opinion, I kind of feel like, due to Sarri and Lampard constantly rushing him back, playing him on meds, it's eventually going to take a toll on Kante. I think it originally started near the end of last season when, Sarri tried to rush him back for the final game against Arsenal. Since then, breaking down for France. And then after that, breaking down with Lampard a few times as well. It starts from somewhere. And I think sometimes that when you take a risk with the player's fitness, which Lampard and Sarri and, of course, managers do in general, you have to. Sometimes, it's a game where you need to make bold decisions and take bold risks. But at the same time, they don't always pay off. And unfortunately, when they don't pay off, you get situations like N'Golo Kante now. But as I said, he was injury number 2 for the game. And then the third one came with Christensen unfortunately breaking his nose. And just like the circumstances, imagine Martial in that moment because Christensen was on top of Martial throughout the entire first half. Let's not forget that. That moment where Christensen's nose is broken, the only time Martial has an opportunity to have a header on goal. Yeah, we can't expect any more from Christensen. Look what happened right after the goal was scored. Christensen had to go off. And then, of course, he didn't come back for the second half because of, precautions for any concussions. So when you see it like that, if Christensen was fully fit, that's not going to be a goal. And then from then on, the officiating. And of course, we can't forget about the game's biggest disgrace. And that was Harry Maguire not being sent off. Unbelievable decision. Absolute disgrace. He kicked out. It was the same thing that Son did when he got sent off against Rudiger. The exact same thing in front of everyone. How do you miss it? How does VAR not come to the right decision? Doesn't make any sense. And surprise, surprise, who gets the second goal? Who gets the second goal when he should not have even been on the field in the first place? Disgrace. And that's a lot going against us because if the refs are doing their job, Maguire isn't on that field. We're up against 10 men. And then from that point on, anything goes. For me, Fred clearly pushes Azpilicueta, and of course momentum physics, which I feel like Premier don't really understand. I don't know what these guys were getting for their GCSEs, but they have no fundamentals for these types of things. Fred pushed him. If I'm getting pushed, I'm going to push into someone else. I don't understand why that was seen as Aspi fouling. That baffled my mind. Did you not see that? If that goal stood at 1-1, we were applying the pressure to Man United, they would have cracked. The context of the game becomes completely different. And then who knows what happens from there. But then, of course, set pieces costing us again. That is a detail that, I've given my thoughts and opinions on this. We're just not good at that because I don't feel we have the right type of players. Rudiger, even though he's a very good player, I think that one of his weaknesses has always been aerially. He should have been a lot stronger going against Maguire. It's not how a Chelsea defender normally concedes from areas like that. So I think Rudiger would have been quite disappointed because, throughout the game today, I thought he was very good. Some excellent balls, some great leadership as well, and really crisp passing out from the back. But still, I still thought that we were carrying an attacking threat. A much bigger threat than what Man United were giving us. When you don't have Tammy Abraham, Christian Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I mean, of course, you're going to be limited with your efficiency in front of goal. That's naturally going to happen. I mean, I think as a fan base, we know that some of these guys just aren't up for it and aren't as good. So we can't expect miracles from a team that's not in its final stage. I know it feels like a cop-out answer to some, but I don't say it because I'm trying to prove that I'm right. I'm not about that life. I'm only saying it just to ease nerves. I always think personally, when you think of long-term perspective, when you think of that plan of how we're going to get there, when you analyze the steps we're making right now, and when you analyze where they could lead to in the future, I feel like you can only be optimistic. I think the club gave us a demonstration of this by signing Ziyech so early. I think that's a massive sign of intent, and that was definitely something for the fans as well. That was a commitment from the club, letting us know that, things are in good hands. We've already secured a big player who, regardless, is improving this team by a lot next season. Things are looking good. But anyway, you guys, that's why I can give some more thoughts and opinions before I wrap things up. We get some more efforts on goal. We get this clear one where Cover is 1v1 against De Gea. You're thinking, if that's any other player, could they do a bit better? Cover was too undecisive on the ball. He was too slow. You should have known straight away where he was going to hit the ball. Unfortunate, unlucky, and I feel it's one of those opportunities where, let's say even next season, we're going to score from that. Because we're not going to have Kovacic winning the ball there. It's going to be a better player, or it's going to be a player that's going to be fit to play, that's out injured at this point in time. I mean, more positives for me, you guys. I thought Giroud coming on, very good cameo. He took his goal amazingly well. And, VAR, it is frustrating because, wow, it really does go down to the most minute details. But, I mean, of course, it was correct. I mean, his foot was offside. That was a lot clearer than the first one. I thought the first one was completely outrageous. God knows why that wasn't a penalty. God knows why that goal wasn't allowed. Disgraceful in my opinion. But of course, just to summarize how unlucky this game was, Mason Mount, it was very good today. Unbelievable cross into Giroud, even for that disallowed goal before. But, he hits the bottom side of the post. So unfortunate. Great shooting technique. Great effort on goal. And we deserved at least one goal today. But so many factors worked against us. And I think we have to realize, if we had some key players back, if we didn't have your Mitchies and Pedros playing, I feel like we're getting a result against Man United today, because the performance against them, well, for me, we outclassed them. We didn't get the result, but the game was still good. And of course, if you're Lampard, you can find positives today to bring forward, because we're going to have a massive test this month. We've got Bayern Munich coming up soon. And in games like this, where luck is just against you, you have to find every positive you can and take it forward. But anyway, you guys, I'm going to wrap things up now, keep things moving. Expect there to be more videos tomorrow. And yeah, it is very frustrating. I'm going to have to watch this game again later on, so I can bring out the talking points video later. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up now, you guys. See you in a bit.